Hello again. I am Jared Case, curator of film exhibitions at the Dryden Theater and the George Eastman Museum, and I'm here with another streaming recommendation for you based on some programming that we were hoping to have in conjunction with the Gathering Clouds photography exhibition, which is on view here at the museum until January 3rd, 2021. While we encourage you to still come see the exhibition, unfortunately the Dryden has not been able to open, so the film part of the programming is in a bit of a pivot where we bring them to you as recommendations and you can seek them out at home on your own, and I can give you places to stream or rent or even purchase the films. Previously, I told you about Solaris from 1972 and Oliver Stone's The Doors. Today, I'll be talking about The NeverEnding Story from 1984, directed by Wolfgang Petersen, whose previous film, Das Boot, from 1981, gave him the power and the clout to direct what was, at the time, the most expensive production mounted outside of the United States or the Soviet Union. Based on the novel by Michael Ende, it is a fantasy film that follows a pair of parallel narratives. The first follows Bastian. He lives in our world, and his mother has recently died. His father, in an attempt to help him cope and move on with his life, tells Bastian to keep his head out of the clouds, to keep his feet on the ground, because Bastian is often fantasizing about things such as unicorns or perhaps even the fact that his mother might still be around and watching him. Meanwhile, Bastian is being bullied at school, and we see a sequence of him running from three bullies who end up chasing him down an alley and putting him in a dumpster. In one of his attempts to evade the bullies, he drops into an antiquarian bookstore. The bookshop owner is not exactly welcoming. In fact, despite the fact that Bastian is an avid reader, the bookshop owner tells him that the books in there are not for him, that he's not ready for them. One in particular that the bookshop owner is reading is called The NeverEnding Story. And when he goes to answer the phone, Bastian surreptitiously borrows the book, runs out, runs to school, and locks himself in the attic, because apparently schools have attics. The other narrative that we follow is the story of the book itself. And this has to do with the young hero Atreyu, who is charged with saving the world of Fantasia from an unseen force known as the Nothing. The Nothing appears to be consuming Fantasia from the outside in. He is told that he has to go alone, and that he can bring no weapons, but that his quest is to find a cure for whatever ails the childlike empress who is ill and leads Fantasia, and by curing her, she will be the one to protect Fantasia from the Nothing. And we cut back and forth between these two narratives, coming back to Bastian, who's reading the book, and his emotional reactions to what is going on in the story, which is a nice metaphor for the empathy that we feel as we associate with the characters that we encounter in a narrative, whether it's through film or through books. And this is a film that's seemingly built on clouds. From the opening credits, which are superimposed over different cloud formations as they're moving, or the placement of Fantasia itself, particularly the Empress's castle, which seems to be nearly floating in midair. But the land of Fantasia always seems to have some sort of mist or something else going on, even at ground level, so that it seems like the land of Fantasia itself is built in the air, built on top of the clouds. The advancement or the presence of the Nothing itself is indicated by the movement of ominous clouds as it moves into an area, followed by the destruction of whatever the Nothing is. And indeed, one of the ways to get around Fantasia is by riding on the back of a big furry lizard called a luck dragon, one in particular named Falcor that both Atreyu and later on in the film Bastian ride to get from one place to another. So the clouds in the film are not just what the story is built on, but they are also a representation of the thoughts that we have, of imagination, or of what is beyond the real world, in the world of fantasy, up to and including, as Bastian yells out for his mother towards the clouds, the idea that of heaven or of something beyond what the real world is here. The NeverEnding Story was very popular at the time, and it spawned some subpar sequels and spin-offs, but it is still considered one of the best fantasy films of all time. And if you have HBO Max, you can currently watch it there. Otherwise, you can rent it from some of the usual suspects, and there are even some digital downloads if you feel like you want to own the film. That is the end of our recommendations from the Gathering Clouds exhibition. We'll have more recommendations for you coming up, and we appreciate you stopping by. Please come back for more recommendations.